I grew up in a small house with my younger sister, Emily. From the moment she could talk, she was always dreaming big. Emily wanted to become a doctor. She was smart, focused, and determined. Our parents were proud of her and would often talk about her bright future. But things weren't easy for us. Our father had fallen ill, and his health was getting worse. He couldn't work anymore, and that's when the burden fell on me. Being the older brother, I felt it was my responsibility to take care of my family. One evening, during dinner, I looked at my mom and dad and I said, "I'll find a job to help with Emily's school fees." My mother looked at me, her face filled with concern. "But you're still in school too. Are you sure?" I nodded. "I'll make it work. Emily has a dream, and I want to help her reach it." The next day, I found work at a local factory. The work was tough, and the hours were long. I spent my days lifting heavy boxes and working with machines that made a loud noise all day. My hands were sore and my back ached by the time I got home. But I kept going because I knew how much Emily's education meant to our family. At home, things felt different. My parents were always talking about Emily's studies. Every evening at dinner, they would ask her how her exams went or about her future. "How was your test today, Emily?" My mom would ask, always excited to hear about her classes. "It went great, Mom." Emily would reply with a smile, talking about biology or chemistry. Meanwhile, I would sit quietly at the table, eating my food, feeling like I was invisible. They never asked how my day went or how I was holding up. I didn't mind at first. I told myself it was all for Emily. She deserved their attention. But over time, I began to feel something inside me growing, a kind of sadness, a loneliness. I was doing everything I could to help her, and yet she didn't seem to notice. One evening, after a long day at work, I came home exhausted. Emily was sitting at the dining table, reading a book for school. I noticed a brand new jacket on the chair next to her. "Where did you get that jacket?" I asked. "Oh, I bought it with my allowance," she said casually, not looking up from her book. I couldn't help but feel a pang in my chest. She had money to buy new clothes, yet I was struggling to make ends meet. I worked long hours, gave up my own dreams, and still, it didn't seem like she cared. I didn't say anything, but inside it hurt. A few days later, at dinner, I decided to speak up. I looked across the table at my parents and said, "I've been working hard to help with Emily's education. I've given up a lot, and sometimes it feels like no one notices." The room went silent. My mom and dad looked at me, surprised. Emily put down her fork and looked at me with confusion in her eyes. "What do you mean?" Emily asked, her voice unsure. "I mean, do you ever think about what I've given up for you?" I said, my voice shaking. "I've been working long hours, skipping meals, just so you can study. And I don't feel like you even notice." Emily stared at me, and then her face changed. She looked at me like I was being selfish. "But you're my brother. Isn't that what family does? You're supposed to help me." Her words hit me hard. I didn't say anything more. I just stood up and walked away from the table, feeling a lump in my throat. Months went by. Emily graduated from high school with excellent grades and got accepted into a prestigious university. Our parents were overjoyed, and Emily was full of excitement for the next chapter of her life. But I felt a heavy weight in my chest. She moved to the city for college, and things only got worse. She would visit us occasionally, but those visits were short, and she was always busy with her studies or socializing with her new friends. I kept working at the factory, barely seeing her, and always feeling like I was invisible in my own family. Then one day, something unexpected happened. I came home after work, exhausted as usual, and found a letter waiting for me. It was from Emily. I sat down and opened it slowly. "Dear brother, I've been thinking a lot about everything you've done for me. I realized something that I should have known all along. You sacrificed so much for me to have a chance at my dreams. You gave up your own future to help me, and I never thanked you properly. I've been so caught up in my own life that I didn't notice how hard you were working. I can't change the past, but I want to make it right. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. You're the reason I'm here today, and I'll never forget it. Love, Emily. I read the letter over and over, tears streaming down my face. For the first time in years, I felt like I was truly seen. A few weeks later, Emily came to visit. She sat down beside me and looked me in the eyes. "I'm sorry, brother," she said softly. "I've been selfish. You've given so much, and I never truly understood it until now. You are my hero, and I owe everything to you." I couldn't find the words to reply. All the years of pain, all the silent sacrifices, seemed to melt away in that moment. From that day on, things changed. Emily started calling me more often, checking in on me, and making sure I knew how much I meant to her. She sent me little gifts with notes that said, "From my hero." She never let me forget how much she appreciated me, and I never let her forget how proud I was of her. Looking back, I realize now that it wasn't just the sacrifices that mattered. It was the love behind them. And in the end, family is about understanding and appreciating each other, no matter how long it takes.
That was close.